welcome back, everybody. It's time once again for one of our favorite shows, This Week with Wendy. The one show, maybe the only show that talks about the real SoCal estate of mind. Hosted by Wendy Ross, who after decades of working in real estate brokerages decided to do something really different. She thought it was time to create a real estate business model that was built around the idea of bespoke client advocacy at all price levels. Yeah, that's something you seldom see in high-cost markets like Southern California. So through it all, she also built a company of data-driven divas, people who take the data and treat it seriously and caress it, uncover it, explain it to all of us here. Turn data into a sexy topic here. How about that, Wendy? Is that something? Is that too high a bar to set here today?
It's getting warm in here, Paul.
We're going to turn data into a sexy topic here.
What was in your coffee this morning, darling?
I'm feeling good today here.
Paul's in fuego. Wow. I love how you're bringing sexy back to data. I sincerely appreciate that.
I think data can be sexy if you just explain it right here, because otherwise it's just confusion and it's conflicting. One data says this, but the other data says this, and then so I just throw it all out. I don't understand it. And yet, I'll take. We had somebody on earlier talking about public storage units, and I thought there's a real sleeper topic. But they're talking about how this whole industry is changing. It's going to be completely done online. You're just going to get a thumb code, and you're going to go and open the unit up and do these things. And maybe you can rent it for an hour. Maybe you can rent it for a year. Maybe Amazon will rent it when they need extra spaces for that last mile. The whole industry. And so he was talking about data and how this all, I thought maybe data's kind of sexy.
I think it's fascinating, like we were saying off air just a moment ago, how much technology is touching all of our industries and changing them. That's a great example.
That's a sleepy business, been around forever, storage units. And I know it's a big business, but it seems like kind of a sleepy topic. And it's dramatically being upended by technology. We've talked about in other shows, housing. Will people get to fractional housing? I own a little piece of this, you own a little piece of this.
They're already doing it, Paul.
Yeah,
They're already doing it. There's actually several in Newport Beach that are fractional, second homes, and these gorgeous beach homes. They're like, okay, own it with 3 to 5 other people.
Yeah, and so I get a little bit of it, you get a little bit of it, and we all different. And then how do we access it? Maybe there's, I don't know if they do in those cases, but there's maybe a technology and a code, and I can get in, and then it tracks how often I can use it. And somebody
Most
else
likely there is. And they've been doing fractional ownership of yachts and things for years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a new phenomenon.
So all of this stuff is being upended by technology. And then that guy you had on a couple weeks ago, I listened to the episode again. I don't do that very often. I wouldn't listen to it again. The guy who was, let's make a social app about your home.
Craig is brilliant. He is so smart. I have to stop and really, really think about what he has just said and usually ask him to repeat it. He's just brilliant.
Because he's really saying it's not just sort of a fanboy place where we hang out and say, let's talk about our homes, or let's talk about different ways to decorate them or something. That's what I thought he was going to talk about.
No.
But it's really kind of rethinking your home. You're going to treat it as an investment. You're going to treat it as something you're going to pass on to generations. You're going to treat it as a home. You're going to treat it as your piggy bank. And then so let's have some really intelligent community around this where people share ideas and discuss these
It sounds really empowering, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because for anyone, first time, or I don't care if you bought home 20 years ago, if you're coming into the market and thinking about making that massive an investment, you usually don't have deep understanding of what's been happening lately.
No.
And that way you have a community that you've been interacting with, and hopefully it will help inform people about what it's like to live there, what the latest issues have been for homeowners, what the latest benefits have been for homeowners. And you're hearing it from a large number of peers. And there's just no substitution in my mind for a lot of good information.
Because we trust each other more than we do the experts, I'm sorry to say. And you're an expert, and I get it, but most of us, I don't know, the experts say this. What do you think?
Well, and the experts, you have to wonder, why are they saying this?
That's right.
And
What's
I
their
get that a lot.
motivation,
It's like, oh, well, you just want us to believe this because of that. And I'm like, well,
Yeah. All right. Well, is that the new normal? Is that what we're going to talk about here today?
Well, there's many things that we're going to talk about today. But first, welcome to November. It's November 1st, right?
Yeah.
Can't believe it already is. And for those who've been following me on social media, I made a promise that I was going to finish my teasers of announcements and unveil what I've been alluding to as my big change.
I know. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So here it is.
Is this the sexy big reveal here?
Right. But I'm not taking my clothes
Oh,
off.
okay. Oh,
Because
no.
I love you, man. No one needs to see
That might
that.
drive, ratings. You may be driven by things like that.
No, I'm taking my team to EXP. So what's going to happen is we're going to rebrand as Real Veracity, powered by EXP. And
Okay.
what's super exciting is that EXP is a major tech company. So yes, it's an international real estate brokerage, but they are built on a cloud-based tech model. So it dovetails perfectly into what we've been talking
So
about.
I don't know EXP. Tell me who EXP is.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to send you to my website.
Okay.
EXP is a global company started by a gentleman who decided that he wanted to build a real estate company after being in the industry for decades that really put agents first. And that is unique. That is sadly, sharply contrary.
You would think that would be the given.
Like I said, I mean, real estate, one could easily liken it to Vegas. The real estate brokerage is the casino, and the agents are the players, and the house always wins.
Yeah, the house always
The
wins.
house
That's the
always
truth.
wins. And that's been the brokerage model, is the brokerage to survive and thrive does it on the backs of the agents, quite literally. And he decided that's not cool. So he built a company that was nimble because it was cloud-based, which made it affordable for people to collaborate and participate within. And it also made it easier for them to collaborate and share information across the country and around the world about what's working and what's
Back
not.
to technology again.
Again, technology is really changing our industry. And he's done things like create a situation where everyone can have medical benefits. Everyone can have 401k or
Wow.
retirement savings accounts.
Wow.
Everyone can buy discounted shares in the company if they want to. It's a very collaborative environment. And it's overdue. And they're I think, the fastest growing real estate company on the planet now. So if you haven't heard of them until this moment, you will. And that's why I chose to go there, because I thought, okay, I can continue to run my company and my team exactly as I have, the way I want to, according to my moral compass.
Right.
But we also have all these other resources, and there is a larger village now that can help mentor my team and keep us on the right track and doing the right things for the right reasons. Because when we reward our agents for giving white glove treatment and giving the experience to the buyer and seller that is the best they could possibly hope for, we all win.
Yeah, right. Exactly right. The customers are going to be happy. They'll come back and do more deals. They'll give you more referrals. You do better deals. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's shocking and exciting, and something I never thought that I would do, but a lot of really big players in the industry have come to EXP for the very same reason. They really want to take care of their agents, and so do I. And I want to be able to take care of my clients as well, and making sure that we all have medical care.
I think it's a combination of having a boutique experience, which means somebody really cares. Somebody's going to spend time with you. They're not just racing you through it. The agent who signed you up, some of these big things, you're never going to see him again. He's got 20 people work under he or she. And that's how we can do 8 million deals, because
Right.
7 million of them, 999,000, he never sees or hears from again here.
I find that regrettable. I pride myself on the fact that things like what happened this morning occurred. I was on a 7 a.m. Zoom call with a bunch of other professionals that are important to my business. And a past client was texting me, asking me for information and feedback on things, and sending me pictures of her children. Well, she's had 3 real estate transactions with me, and the last one was over a year ago. But we're still in relationship.
There you go.
Yeah, because we care about each other. I want to see that her kids are growing and thriving in their new home. I want to see that they're enjoying
Well,
their
and just
school.
like, maybe this is a strange analogy, but when I was a kid, of course, we all knew Dr. Welby, the kind of doctor who was your neighborhood doctor,
Right.
who cared for you probably from cradle to grave.
Right, exactly.
And or your family. And he or she took great pride in being part of your family. They were an extension of your family. They weren't just somebody you saw, that you took a number and you walked in somebody for the first time and had to explain what you're doing. That's the way real estate agents have been to me. Something I've never met before. They happen to, they're handling this house, or I stumble into them. Somehow, magically, they come into my life. We go through a transaction, they spin out, and never hear from them again.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because all of my most trusted advisors who advise me individually and for my business have been with me for years.
Yeah, right.
And I don't,
Attorneys, accountants, right? We wouldn't just
right. My
we wouldn't
medical
just do that.
professionals, my legal professionals, my tax professionals.
Right.
And they are so much a part of the fabric of my life and my business. They're delighted when they see growth. They're delighted when they see progress. They weep with me when when I lost my husband, because
Yeah.
we're truly knitted together.
Right.
And I do think that there are several real estate brokers and agents who subscribe to that. And I suspect that most of them are going to end up with me at EXP
There you go.
because
All
it's a
right.
culture.
Fascinating idea.
I know,
Okay, well
it's very
that's
cool.
big.
I
I didn't
know.
see that one coming.
I,
Okay.
I was very, very quiet about it. It was a long deliberation. It was not easy for me to give up the reins, so to speak, and share my brand. But I'm excited. It's going to be good. But all right, so that aside, let's do what I come here to do every week, and let's talk about what happened last week in Orange County.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we call this show This Week with Wendy, because the data really is bobbling up and down and surging and ebbing and whatnot on a weekly basis. So month to date, I mean, we have one more day's worth of data yesterday's to compile and pull into the month. So this is not quite a complete month of October, but nearly. And what we saw was that in the last 10 days or so of the month, more homes went into escrow, more homes sold than the rate in the first part of the month.
Well,
So instead of the market cooling as we head into December, it actually had picked up a little bit of heat.
I haven't heard that anywhere, because all I hear is, oh, the market's frozen, nobody's buying, nobody's selling.
It's very little. It's only like 10%. And we only had 1,612 closed sales so far.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a big number, but the little bit of an uptick makes me think, oh my gosh, something that you probably haven't seen on my charts, because I always do charts, I like visuals for sales and the data analysis. And, there's usually like a bit of a bell curve, right?
Right.
So at the beginning, January and February, you have fewer sales, and it starts to surge upward as you get into summer. And then August and September, it starts to taper down. But what's interesting is that in Orange County, for the last 20 some odd years since I've been studying it, the bell curve isn't perfectly smooth at the tail end of the year. It has a little bit of a bump. There's a little bit of a bump at the very end of the year.
That's something I've never heard anywhere else, because you assume it
It's
almost
not a
stops at
smooth
the holidays.
decline,
Yes.
no. So this little bit of heat that's come into the market at the end of October here is making me think, are we getting back to the normal little bit of a bump that we see? I'll show you a picture. And for those of you who are listening, go to my website. There's going to be pictures there. I'll post them on social media.
Can I ask you one quick question? Because you
Yeah.
talk about this all the time, and I know you do publish a monthly, is it a monthly report?
It's a monthly report, yeah.
How do people subscribe to that? Because I had other people say, well, she talks about it all the time. Where do I go get it? Do they just have to go to the website and look for it, or is there a specific
At this
place?
moment, because I'm transitioning to EXP, everyone who wants it should email info@realveracity.com.
Real Veracity, Veracity, Real Veracity.
REALVERACITY.
RealVeracity.com.
Yeah,
You
so-
get added to the list.
Correct. So, and just
Whoop,
Add me-
I'm going to cough here. Okay, there.
Okay.
Turned you down instead of me.
all right. So there may be a little bit of a hump at the end of the year. I will, of course, keep you posted every week as we talk about this. It's just interesting because even though we only have so far just over 1,600 sales, and normally in October we'd have it 3,800, and that this is going back about 19 years. So
Right.
it's a healthy pre-COVID trend I'm talking about. What is typical in October for Orange County is we would sell through 22.35% of the inventory that was out there. We did the same thing this year. We're selling through 22.5% of the inventory that's available. That's a very healthy ratio. So there was a whole lot less to sell, but we still sold proportionately the same amount. And that looks to me like our return to normal. But our new normal going forward is less.
Yeah, right.
There just aren't going to be as many houses on the market. There just aren't.
And is less due? I know some of the answer to this. Obviously, prices have gone up and mortgage rates have gone up, so that seems to have frozen things for a while. But it can't freeze it forever. People still
Yeah.
got to move. People
Yeah.
still get divorced. People still pass
Right.
away. Something happens, and that house has got to get sold.
Yeah, we are going to have people who must buy for whatever reason, and
Or
there are
must
people
sell
who,
for
and must
whatever.
sell for whatever reason. You're right. So we're going to have those transactions because life happens to all of us,
Right.
And so yeah, we're going to see those. What we're seeing is that they're more difficult, and both sides are a bit more demanding, and so the deals aren't as fluid because it's becoming a more balanced market. One
Mm-hmm.
side cannot make demands on the other like they used to. And Stephen Thomas did a great job reporting on this recently in his reports on housing. And he keeps reminding us that when it takes 60 days or less to sell through all the inventory on the market, that's a seller's market.
Yes, right.
And people think, oh, it sold in 10 days. You know, why is it selling in 30 days? No, 60 days is the magic number. It's a seller's market below 60 days. We just got to 66 days. That doesn't say, oh my gosh, the market's crashing. That says, no, the market is now in parity.
And
now
we were
it's in
way out
balance.
of what we were like in 6 minutes,
Right, we were
six
so
hours.
far out of
Right.
whack. It was ridiculous. So we're coming back to a new balance. But I think what people are going to have to wrap their heads around is that we're not going to have 10,000 homes on the market in June anymore. We're not going to have 8,000 homes on the market in August anymore. We're just not.
And do you think that this is a hard question to ask, but do you think that's going to have a shakeout within your industry? Too many of these weekend warriors that came into the
It's
market thinking they were going to make a quick buck, now we're realizing they got to work harder at it. And
it's
gonna leave.
impossible for that not to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because I mean, reality TV and social media and whatever has built this illusion of how glamorous and fun it is, and it is fun. It's not that glamorous, and it's a lot of work, and you really have to know what you're doing. And it's impossible for 1.6 million licensees in the United States to survive this, because I'm hearing that the new normal of less inventory isn't only typical to our marketplace, but I think it's more extreme here than it is in many other marketplaces.
Yeah, because of the costs and stuff.
The
right?
cost and the
And the lack of supply.
topography,
Right.
the lack of supply. I mean, we have an ocean on one side of us, people. We're literally a coastal county.
And a mountain on the other side.
And a
yeah.
mountain on the other side. There's only so many places to build, and we're not doing infill as much as perhaps we should be, and that's a political discussion, so I'm not going to go there. But homes are not being built. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
We're not providing more housing units, and our population is not diminishing. And the people who love living here, who are retiring here, are staying.
Yeah, that's a big factor. Me included. At some point, we all thought, well, we're gonna, as we downsize and the kids move out, we're gonna sell the house and go somewhere. And where do you want to go? I don't want to go to the middle of nowhere.
Well, yeah, and that is exactly why I keep screaming from the rooftops that our prices aren't going to crash here, and we're not going to see this great big adjustment because, like you said, mortgage rates did go up. Inflation is going up. The R word is very much out there, but we don't have that many people selling. They're just staying put, and we still have people who need to live somewhere.
And they got equity in the house, so it's not like the last time where they bought high with nothing in it, and suddenly they're saying, why am I paying this thing? I don't have anything in it. I'm just going to walk away.
Well, yeah. And now if someone is saying, okay, I really don't want to live in Irvine anymore. The schools were great. My kids are in college. I don't need to live there anymore. I'd really rather live closer to my boat
Right.
and move to Dana Point. Well, that client isn't selling the Irvine house. They're not.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Even if they sell, even if they move, they're going to hold on to it and just rent it.
So they're not putting a home on the market, but they are taking one off the market.
Yeah.
That's what's keeping
Another thing, yeah.
pressure on the market.
Yeah.
And when people are like, well, that's ridiculous, that's going to stop. Well, think about it. Mortgage rates right now are in the 7%. 86% of all people now have a mortgage interest rate below 5%, and 65% of us have mortgage rates below 4%.
Wow.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So if you had a home that you owned that had equity and your finance rate was 4%, why would you sell it? You would
Yeah.
put a renter in there because it's going to cash flow pretty handsomely.
Yeah.
If not today, really, really soon. And the tax write-offs are far better for rental properties than they are for your own home anymore. The
that I
tragedy,
didn't know that.
yes, because you've got that SALT tax cap, the state
Yes,
and local
right.
tax cap, and that includes the property taxes that you pay on your primary residence, your state income tax that you pay, and the mortgage interest deduction that you have. So you have only so many deductions you can claim on your personal residence. But when it's a rental property, that's a whole different thing. Now you're writing off everything.
A lot of moving parts to keep track of here.
I'm telling you. So even if our prices do drop 9%, which the California Association of Realtors is projecting for the state, they're saying we think statewide we're going to see a softening of home values of 9% in 2023. All right. So even if that does happen, I've done the math. You could buy a home today at the median price of $950,000, or you could wait and you could buy it for 99% less. And with the higher interest rate, you're going to pay $50 a month more. What have you gained?
Yeah.
And people are starting to do the math and going, all right, fine. interest rates aren't coming back down like I had hoped. No, they're not.
I hear that all the time. People are saying, "Well, I'll hold on. Next summer, the interest rates will come back." I don't know anybody's crystal ball, but I don't think it's next summer.
There is no economist anywhere who is saying that. Not one.
Yeah.
None of the major universities, none of the major media sources. Atom Data is not saying that. CoreLogic isn't saying it. No one is saying that.
Because the only time I ever saw interest rates spike like this was, of course, the 80s, or the 70s, late 70s, the Carter years.
Well, and out of 2016 in through 2018, they stair-stepped the rates up as well. They didn't do it as suddenly and as violently as we did this time. So this is the part that we're all going, oh, hang on, this is a lot. So I'm curious to see if, because they accelerated the program, if the recovery is going to be faster. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not an economist.
Tune in each and every week. We'll watch it as it's happening here.
It's so true. It's so true. But, back to Orange County and back to the armchair quarterbacks who are wrong. A 9% adjustment after a 35% increase is an adjustment, people. It is not a market crash.
No.
Stop it. Stop it. Yes, we had over appreciation of values. Yeah, we did. Homes were overvalued. I'm right. Yes. So a 9% adjustment makes complete sense. But what people don't know, because I don't think anybody tracks this but me, is that so far in October, homes have sold here at a rate that is 17% faster than historic Octobers. This excludes...
Even with everything going on.
Yeah. Yes. Even
Wow.
with everything going on, even with all of the noise going on around this, there is still appetite. When there is this much heat on the market, then that means that we're balanced, people. There's nothing crumbling here. The only time that homes sold at a faster rate in October than this year was last year. And last year was crazy. Last year was bananas, people. It was a crazy anomaly that I hope never to see again. Even 2020, which was at the end of 2020, a very, very hot market, that October was the same as this one. So the pace that we have is faster than normal for our market, and the same as it was when people came into the market during COVID because they thought they were all going to die and they had to move somewhere. So, and what's really fascinating too is, remember last week I said that Orange County's median price ticked up just a little bit over the week before?
I know, and that was crazy. I thought everything's going down.
It did it again. So in Orange County in October, the last 2 weeks of October, our median price ticked up just a little bit. I mean, not a lot, but it didn't go down.
Didn't go down, right.
The rate of sales, the pressure was on. We're selling through the inventory. We're selling through a traditionally normal percentage of the available housing. So it speaks to so much stability. It's kind of mind-blowing.
So low inventory is the driving factor, all this.
And it will be.
Yeah.
It'll continue to be, unless we can find a way to get public policy to change, that people will build more infill.
Tear down old stuff, build new stuff, or
Right.
tear down something and build something. But as they're doing that, they're building multifamily. They're not building tract homes anymore.
Well, and that's the thing is suburbia, which is everything south of LA. Well, in a lot of LA counties, LA
Right.
areas as well within LA County, suburban communities that are, predominantly single family residences, they're the ones that are pushing back saying, I don't want an apartment building around the corner.
No.
Well, too bad. Too bad.
Because where else do people gonna live?
Unless you want to pay for everything for everyone, and you certainly do not want to do that,
Mm-mm.
you're going to have to let more people survive here. And it's going to look a lot more like a lot of the older cities, like in and around Chicago, beautiful brownstones and apartments, Seattle, San Francisco.
And the beauty of, I know we're going off your script here a little bit, but the power of what the Irvine Company imagined years ago, which people have copied now around the world, they were one of the largest first of these master plan communities,
Yeah.
was the idea of cradle to grave.
Yeah.
There was a place, they laid it out so that it's not just going to be all low income or all high income. There was a place for everybody, because
Yes.
you'd come in as an apartment, then you'd get a condo and maybe a townhouse, you get a single family resident, maybe move to a bigger one, and then as you got older, retired, you moved down again.
Exactly.
And there was a cycle. Maybe you move back into apartment, maybe you move business and long-term care or something, but there was a place so that you didn't have to leave the community. And they set aside, this is where low-income housing is, this is where high-income housing is, this is where apartments are, this is where senior housing is, this is where single families, and that was kind of a set ratio because they
Right.
wanted you to go through that cycle. Now there's a push to say, No. Let's get rid of all the low end stuff. Let's get rid of senior stuff. Let's just put more high end stuff, high end stuff. Well, we can't even do that. So now it's like, well, we got to stick them somewhere. Let's just build apartments everywhere.
And there's so many layers to this onion, Paul. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of these NIMBYs think that when we get low income or affordable housing in our neighborhood, it's going to bring in low income people who are lazy, and it's going to bring drugs
Those
into our
people,
community. It's going to
yes.
bring drugs and crime and this unsavory element. And what they're not understanding is that people who have more money buy more drugs and more guns. And seriously, I mean,
Yeah.
I had no idea
Yeah.
that cocaine was a thing again. I heard people talking
Is
about
it?
it. I
Oh,
guess
geez.
I guess it's rampant in Newport Beach. I had no idea, but I'm sorry, poor people can't afford that, as far as I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But and also, where are we? We're at the Cove at UCI.
Yeah.
And these young, brilliant minds are here creating technology and med tech that is going to save our Silver Tsunami's lives, probably, or at least make them a lot more comfortable.
Yes, absolutely.
And these people who are dedicating themselves to this research, who have $100,000 or $200,000 worth of student loans, thank you very much, they're probably going to need to buy a condo or rent a place that is less than $1 million.
Absolutely.
Do you really not want them in your backyard? What the hell does the matter with you?
And where do you want your kids to go?
Right? Right?
So when your kids graduate, you want them nearby for the grandkids and everybody else, but they can't afford it.
They
So they
can't
got to go
afford it.
somewhere else.
It's really, really unfortunate. And, and again, it becomes this political commentary. And in many cities, in many counties, not all, but a portion of the property tax, county and city, goes towards, public services and schools and so forth. So when you get in neighborhoods like mine, Santa Ana, which is very old and it has a very low turn rate of housing, people literally leave feet first, their property taxes haven't gone up enough to fund all the other infrastructure that's necessary.
Exactly.
As Orange County's population ages, that's going to be a problem, because they're not selling these houses. They're keeping the low property tax rate on it because they refuse. Or if they do sell it, they're transferring it with them, and one other person is coming in and perhaps, resetting the property tax on that house. But so few of those are going to happen. We're going to start to see real pressure.
And we talked about this on one of our other shows a long time ago, that as the county ages, and we're aging dramatically, we're
Yes.
aging in place, we're not leaving, that those aging baby boomers like me who are staying, who are still paying a low property tax, we are going to need more services.
Right. And the irony is that we are going to be the ones making that unaffordable or just not
Yeah.
feasible.
I need more emergency services. I need more public transportation services. I need more hospitals nearby. I need. And yet I ain't paying. I'm paying in 1980s rates here or something. Yeah.
Right. The only silver lining that I see to this is that, as we started the show with, technology is revolutionizing everything.
It really is.
It,
Yeah.
it really is. It's incredibly democratizing. And when I went to that last tech summit that I went to, and that brilliant gentleman, I forget his name, darn it, the thought leader, who is like the thought leader for Google, was talking about how, as we need medical care, these automated driverless vehicles that are fully stocked with laboratory testing equipment are going to come to us, and we'll step in and then have a virtual conversation.
Just
with a
had
medical
somebody
professional.
here, UC Octane, which is affiliated here, has their medical launch pad last week, and were invited to attend.
Cool.
And somebody was there. That was their launch pad thing, that this automated vehicle
Yeah.
is going to come to your house stocked with this stuff and do the testing you need, rather than you, particularly for rural areas where there is no hospital, there is no community center anymore.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I don't know. It will only support people staying in place. So this is a sociological conversation that we need to have more people talking with us about on the air, Paul.
And I don't think the cities and the counties are having this long term. They're just trying to handle what they got right now. I don't hear anybody saying, let's convene a regional panel. Let's talk about a regional approach to this topic here.
That's a good point. I see individual city leaders like John Stevens he admitted, the unintended consequences of our decision making a civilian panel to opine about, building permits was folly, because nothing got permitted.
Well, I know you've been invited to cover for us an event next week, which we'll talk about more at a later date, one of these tech conferences again up in LA has invited us to come, and the one of the county supervisors, LA County supervisors, is giving a talk on this idea of how do we plan for affordable housing? How do we build
Yeah.
that into the equation here?
Yeah, and we just need to get the community talking about it. The good news is through all these social media apps like Craig Bromberg's Housey app. It's not here yet, people, but just keep your ears open for Housey. Homesy.
Homesy, right.
People will be talking about these things, hopefully, and creating a greater conversation.
We talk about it each and every week, so tune in here.
I know. We love what's coming around the bend. And I think I mentioned this other new prop tech company that I found, and I'm super delighted by it. And goodness, am I seeing how timely they are. And that is Michael Aladawi's Revive. And Revive is a company that is going in based upon his years of experience building spec homes and selling them and keeping his ear to the ground about what consumers want, and also building really strong relationships with the vendors and suppliers and subcontractors. Now, anyone, not just the big wealthy people, can resell their house by having the Revive team come in with us first and consult and say, your home is dated. It looks like 1985 called. And today's buyers, which really weird, Paul.
Why are you looking at me for that? That's the way my house looks.
Today's buyers, they won't buy it at
No.
any price.
That's right.
They won't even write a low ball offer. It's the weirdest phenomenon. The buyers are so particular now. If your home doesn't look exactly like a model home, exactly like what they see in the magazines, they won't write an offer.
They'll just move on.
They'll just move on. So Revive has come to the market at exactly the right time. It's amazing. And what they do is they partner with us brokers. We go in, we develop a plan of what needs to happen to the house in terms of refinishing it, perhaps putting in new cabinets if necessary, but giving it the facelift that it needs so it will sell.
Inside and outside, maybe. Yeah.
Inside and outside. I mean, if it needs a new roof, we'll talk about a new roof. Anything. And the homeowner doesn't pay a dime until it closes escrow. And because Revive has negotiated all these great relationships with trades, there's also not a premium charged on top of it. You're paying whatever you would have paid for time and material for a project anyway.
And this goes to kind of the core of what you've done with your company and continue to do, which is more of a concierge service and less of
Right.
a a sales person. In the old days, I just thought that the agent stood in the house, showed it, took the offers, wrote them up, filled out the paperwork, and a lot of people thought that's all there is to being a real estate agent.
It's really not. And that has been the evolution of our industry for the last 10 years. We've had to really step it up and become advisors. And that was why I started a company that was all about white glove service, regardless of what your price point. If you're buying an $800,000 condo, you get the same level of attention and service as if you're buying a $4 million house.
Right, which allows you to continue selling property even if there's less properties in the market, because you guys are coming up with more creative ways to market that, to present that to the public, and ways that I can finance the remodel of it and don't have to pay for it until the sale closes, and other strategies and tactics and ideas how to navigate this crazy market here.
Well, and time is money. And people, I think, forget that managing a bunch of subcontractors for a construction project is a nosebleed, and it's time consumptive. And having Revive manage all of it, I'm thrilled, because I'm sick of project managing things for my clients. I mean, I'll do it. I just hate it.
Right.
So having someone else come in who knows what they're doing and they get it done quickly, and you can get your home sold quickly, and game
The future's
changer.
here right
It
now.
is.
Okay.
I'm super, super excited by this. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else we can say to people. It's like the market's tough. It's going to be tough for a while. This is not a rosy market. A bunch of agents are going to be knocking on people's doors, making promises that they can't keep. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. If someone was referred to you by your tax advisor or your neighbor who actually employed this person or your attorney, that's who you should talk to.
And ask them what they're really going to do, because a million years ago, you went to an agent and they said, I know this market. So I know, and I've got buyers that I've sold to, or I've got a network of buyers that I can bring to her. I know how to advertise it. Or we've got a platform where everybody goes. We run, in the old days, they'd run the big ads in the Sunday newspapers or something.
Right.
And so I felt that my house had a better chance to reach more people. I was getting better advice about how to price it. I got people who really know how to sell in this market, have done it before. So, okay, I'm willing to pay this commission, and they'll do it. They'll handle all the ins and outs and everything here. Now, too many of them, I think, just want to walk in, put their sign on the door, and then walk away And then I call them up. I don't get any ideas. I don't get any advice. We're working. We're working. What are they bringing to the table?
There are some that are great.
Clearly, yeah.
Don Abrams, Balboa, love his business, love his reputation. That is a stable, upstanding pillar of our community. There are some incredibly noble, wonderful brokers out there. And then there was that horror story. Remember a couple months ago,
Yeah.
we heard about someone who listed a $5 million home, didn't bother to consult with this newly widowed gentleman and ask him where he was going to live, had a 10-day cash buyer, and this poor man is going through his late wife's things, trying to pack them up, not knowing where he was going to go, and suddenly asked his agent, oh, wait, aren't you? Oh, I
Yeah.
need more time. And his agent was like, too bad.
No, I made a
Too
deal.
bad.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
wow. And all the other things. How do I sell in today's market? How do I and all the paperwork and all the due diligence and all the other stuff that has to be done and all, on and on and on. And it's like, oops, oops, oops. I
Well,
keep hearing oops all the time here.
Here's something that blew my mind. One of my clients, my current clients, who happens to be a dear friend of mine, so it's a lot of fun. He decided that he wanted to have his fiance as part of this purchase rather than waiting until after they got married. And I was
Okay.
like, okay, great. And then he admitted to me, because she's a brilliant immigrant businesswoman, that sometimes when they have conversations, the nuance of what he does for a living is lost on her. And I went, hang on, red flag. I will put her on this agreement with an interpreter. I will not allow
Yeah.
her to sign anything
Right.
until we have an interpreter there who I know and trust. And I found an interpreter that I knew I could trust to actually interpret what was being said and to interpret her questions. And we spent 3 hours going through all of these documents related to this purchase that they were making together.
Wow.
Because she's an intelligent businesswoman, and she deserves to know what these documents mean that she is signing.
And what you've addressed is the one thing. I've only bought or sold houses a couple of times in my long life here, and then lived in them for a long period of time.
That's typical.
A condo and then a house, really just two. And both of them were marred and forever scarred in my mind by the what? Oops. Oh, I didn't know that. Stuff that popped up all the time, usually at the end, usually a crisis. I didn't know that. Nobody told me that. I got to do what? What? Why? Wow. But you're in the middle of it, and you just got to barrel through it, and then you feel like, I never want to do that again.
And I am not going to say that never happens. I've had whoopses before. I mean, because there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of people involved. But the difference is that I take care of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not, oh, sorry, Paul, you're on your own.
Right.
It's like, oh, this came up. I don't know how it was missed. Here's how we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
And if it means I write a check to fix it, I write a check to fix it. If it's my mistake, I fix it. It doesn't happen often, thank goodness. But when it does, it does.
Well, why would anybody go anywhere else? I don't know why they would just entrust the biggest decision of your life to your cousin.
Your cousin Vinny.
Vinny, who just entered the market last week, and he can sell it for you because he'll do it for half price.
Right.
And anybody can do this.
Right. Well, yeah.
Let's do this. Let's talk about your sponsor for a second here.
Okay.
You certainly have a lot of network of people. You've dropped a half a dozen of them during this show here. And one of them that you've worked with for a long time are your legal partners, Ford and DiUlio. They're an Orange County-based boutique litigation firm, a boutique firm like you are, offering real hands-on concierge service. But they've got the experienced attorneys from the big law firms, so they've understood the complexities and the training that you can only get at that level, like you did. You worked at the big places, and now you're bringing that knowledge to the regular people here. The partners who founded the company did so, like you, on aligned interest, where their success is related to the value and services they provide, not just how long they can drag it out or how quickly they can get it over with or whatever metrics they want to use. They're there to do relentless pursuit of your goals, whether in litigation, mediation, or trial. That's something missing, or that's something you'd like to have in your corner. You can find them at FordDiulio.com, FORDDIULIO, FordDiulio.com. So what is the biggest shock about the new normal? That's my question. What we've been hearing for 2 years, this is the new normal, this is the new normal's coming here, which means it ain't going to be like it was before, whether it's COVID, whether it's the economy, whether it's stocks, whether it's politics, whether it's the global world, There's a new normal, and
Yeah.
have we reached that new normal? Have we gone through the chaos, and are we there
I
yet?
don't think we're there yet. I really think that truly the next 5 months are going to be what
Really? Okay.
establishes the normal. I think we need to get through Q1 of 2023, and what happens. Well, really, what has been happening since September 1 through March 30th, I think will be our benchmark of what our new normal is.
So by the end of 2023, we'll know what the new normal is. How
No, by
many?
the end of the first quarter.
Okay, really that fast?
Oh yeah, I think that fast.
And then
Yeah.
that pattern will last for a while.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And what's interesting is that I think it will take
You're
that.
putting yourself out there. Most people say, "Oh, I think in the next 5 years we'll figure this out."
No,
or
no, no.
something.
No, I really do think it's going to be by the end of the first quarter. And it should be sooner because the market indicators are there. The population is just unwilling to read the tea leaves.
Yeah.
And they're not believing us when we tell them. I mean, there are still people out there screaming, well, let's wait for all these foreclosures, because they were
Right.
artificially, prevented because of government intervention and all these people that overpaid for their houses and they're going to have foreclosures. And no, that's not going to happen.
The Fed seems to be reaching an end of whatever it's going to do for a while.
Well, it stopped it for a while ago. And what I don't think people understand is that fewer than 1% of California homeowners have negative equity, meaning that they owe more than the home is worth.
And that's when they want to dump it or walk away.
Well, yeah. And so that's usually when the rubber meets the road and they're like, okay, I can't continue to pay this mortgage. I'm in trouble. Let's say that some people do get there. It's less than 1% of our homeowners, and they'll call their bank and say, I need to sell. Will you please cooperate with me for a short sale? And rather than litigate and lawyer up and go through a foreclosure, the banks will say, yes,
Right.
yes, we will.
Right.
So there's not going to be this avalanche. None of the data supports this.
Right.
Adam Solutions, who now owns Realty Track, which is the foreclosure specialist of the world, they're the ones saying, stop it. It's not happening.
We should if you can reach out to somebody else, we should have some people come in.
We'll get Rick Sharga back. He and I have been talking about
Yeah.
getting him in to talk about, remember at the beginning of the year, he talked about what
I
he
do.
thought was going to happen. So we need him to come in and bookend it. So the doomsday naysayers, they're making me crazy. Yes, home prices will adjust 9% next year. Will that trigger a wave of foreclosures? No, it will not.
And I think a lot of people are hoping it will.
Isn't that sick?
Because they're hoping, this is the time I'm going to scoop in and buy. This is
Right.
the time I'm going to do something. That's the smart move. I'm going to wait when the stock market crashes. I'm going to wait when the housing market crashes.
Okay, so let me play off that. Exactly. So I was surprised to learn this little bit of history. There were more millionaires minted after the 1920s crash than ever, well, really since in our history.
Yeah.
Because people who still maintained some wealth were able to go in and take advantage of everything being dirt cheap and undervalued.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen now. So, okay, yeah, so if home prices do soften, we've got all these people here sitting on a lot of cash. Orange County is a very, very wealthy community. And these people are going to buy these properties and they're going to make them investment properties. The more unstable Wall Street gets, the more people buy dirt.
That's right. Because you don't know what. I still go back to my fundamental question. This is the one I'd love to hear you talk about in 2023. Are we going to, is the new normal someday going to be in Orange County like it is in New York City, that few own ever? It is just, you in some way, shape, or form, you're going to rent. If you want to live in Manhattan, you're never going to own anything.
Yeah. I have said that we're going that direction for a very long time. And the first time it came into startling relief for me was when my late husband shared with me how many clients he had, because he was a mortgage professional and he was indeed a unique professional. He had multiple clients who owned more than 100 single family homes.
More than 100?
He had 3 of them.
Wow.
Each of these 3 client families that he had owned more than 100 single family homes. That is an indication, people, of where we're going.
A few will own all the real estate and the rest of us will rent it from them.
Yeah, it's going to be...
If you want to live in these major urbanized areas. If you want to live
if you want to live where you work.
Yeah.
And we've still got a pretty balanced economy here in terms of the work, professional services, as you know, the med tech, the fintech, entertainment.
Huge.
Yeah.
People don't realize that all these cybersecurity is huge in Orange County.
Exactly.
We're the
yeah.
third largest. Here's a fact you don't know. We're either the second, I think we're the second actually, largest area for ophthalmology. there is an ophthalmology conference here at this university, and there are more ophthalmology startups and companies here than, I forget where the other city is, but we're number 2 in the nation in terms of ophthalmology.
I did not know that.
Now, I don't know how big ophthalmology is, but anything to do with your eyes, anything to do with all the surgeries and all the devices and things that go into eyes, ophthalmology is huge in Orange County. Most people have no idea that we're an ophthalmology center.
I love that I learn something every time I
There
come
you go.
here.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But that's exactly my point.
And the other one that people are shocked, we had we've had the mayor of Farrakhan in here a couple of times from the city of Irvine. We also had the head of the Chamber of Commerce here, and they both said the same thing. Somehow, they can't even explain it. Irvine has become one of the centers of the new electronic vehicles and the university just opened up another automated technology, basically self-driving cars.
Oh,
And so that's become a big focus here. There's lots of startups, lots of companies doing that. And you've now got Rivian headquarters here.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Fisker has headquarters here. You got some other startups and stuff here. There's more new car companies here in Irvine.
wow.
Not in
It
Detroit.
speaks to the technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm super excited for a population that is aging and that has people who have just had to accommodate not being able to drive to have this future opportunity of a driverless vehicle that can actually take them where they want to go and give them more autonomy.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I don't know if you know this. I didn't drive for 10 years. And it
You
was
didn't drive for 10 years?
I was having seizures and we couldn't figure
Oh,
out why.
right. Yeah, right.
So
With your heart.
I could have driven, but I might have killed someone. And that wasn't a viable option for me. But there are a lot of people who have medical conditions that prevent them from driving. And I think it'll be wonderfully liberating for them to be able to go to the beach, or
And
go to
as
the
the
mall.
county ages, people give up their driving license, or it becomes harder. They can't drive at night, or other
God
sorts
bless,
of
I
things.
hope so.
Yeah, right. Isn't that the truth, right?
We don't need any more of them plowing into farmers markets. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're laughing,
No.
but that's what happens, right?
No. So, yeah. So I don't know. All I can tell you to bring this whole thing to a close, I think we've begun to get normal. I think that our market is nearly normal. I think that, as I've been saying for the last 2 years, we're going to have less inventory to sell, and we're going to have our stay putters staying put. We're going to have less money pumped back into the economy because of home sales. We're going to have a mass exodus out of real estate. Hopefully, these people can find jobs doing something else.
And here's the question I have then.
Okay.
Think of this. Will we recognize it as normal, or will we keep saying, no, that's not normal? We got to get back to the way it was. The way it was normal. The new normal implies a new way of doing things, a new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be like it was before, but we always hanker for the way it was.
Sure. Well, I wouldn't mind being 120 pounds again, but the way I was. No, you're right. There is always going to be a segment of the population that rejects it, and that will hold out and not want to believe or participate in it. But we have had too much data, too much logical data brought to the fore that supports this.
And I'll give you one last, this is a weird example, but electric vehicles. I have tons of relatives back in the Midwest, and they say, ain't going to buy one. We don't need them. Horrible idea. Just hate everything about it. And we're going to fight them. And there have been states, many of these red states, are saying we're going to push back against them. We're going to create laws and stuff that make them harder to purchase and everything here. We want gas-driven vehicles. And the only reason you're doing this is because of some political agenda, the climate change or green agenda or whatever it is. It's being driven by something else. I said, you missed the whole point. Having had a number of these companies come in here, Rivian and others, these companies ain't ever going back to gas. I don't care what you want, folks.
Yeah.
Why? Because an electric vehicle has half as many moving parts, takes half as long to assemble, and half as many parts to warranty. And right now they get a premium for them.
Yeah.
So you think they're ever going to go back?
They're not.
And in Buick just told their dealers nationwide, if you don't want to move over as we're moving to electric vehicles, if you object to this, you don't want to sell this, you think they're too expensive, whatever,
We're going to compete with you in your market.
we will buy your dealership out.
Wow.
You want it right now? What's your deal? We'll take you out. You're not a Buick dealer anymore, because if you're not coming along, we don't want you.
Yeah.
This is not being driven by a political agenda anymore. This is strictly an economic one. Half as many parts, half as much to build, half as much to warranty, and right now they get a premium for them. They won't always, but right now they do.
Yeah.
And so whether you want it or not, it's coming.
Yeah.
And there are people who are still fighting it and rejecting it, saying, I don't want it, any more than the people that wanted the horseless carriage
I was
when
just
they
going
had
to
a
say
horse.
that. Exactly.
I love
Ford
my
went
horse.
against this. Yeah, it's like, I'm never going to drive one of those things. Yeah.
Spangled machines, yeah, right.
Right. It's a death trap. Well,
Right.
look at us now.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at us now. I look forward to the day when I can not only have an electric vehicle, I can have one that is self-driving.
Yeah.
I look forward to having a vehicle that has sensors all the way around and can find every weird random thing that could hurt me and avoid it.
And people are afraid of that technology. And I confess sometimes myself, is it ready? Will it kill me? And they say, what do you think's better? You think a computer with 80 million sensors can sense what's going around? Or you trying to talk on your cell phone, turn around to your kid saying, stop it back there?
Right.
Who's in a better position to really
Right.
avoid accidents?
Or people like me, what if I had chosen to drive and I had a seizure behind the wheel? Wouldn't you rather know I was in a car that's going to, avoid hitting you?
Yeah, or my 90-year-old father who continued to drive even though he'd wander in and out of the lanes and drift and everything. But I know what I'm doing. You can't tell me to stop and everything here.
Well, and what I love about this too, and we'll have to have a futurist on the show, I'm working on that, to talk about how this change in automobiles is going to manifest into changes in neighborhoods.
Yes. Ooh,
Because
wow.
will we have to have garages? Some yes, some no. I mean, I hear urban planners are starting to design neighborhoods where there's like a cul-de-sac drop-off for these automated vehicles to come and pick you up and drop you off, or for social ride sharing to do the same thing.
And will we all have a vehicle? Will we all own a vehicle?
Will we
Or
need to?
Will we need to? Again, Manhattan. Many people, most
Right.
people probably don't own a vehicle in Manhattan.
Well, if we've already adopted this public sharing of bicycles and motorized bicycles, you can like go to a corner and pick one up. Why would that not also apply to larger vehicles?
And people, we had somebody come on and talk to a show about that a long time ago, the idea that your car, why does it have to just sit right now I'm in an office building. Why is it just sitting there waiting for me? Why can't I put it to use? Why can't somebody else can fractionally own it and they
Yes.
can pick it up during different hours and go
Yes.
to the store with it, and then it returns back and it's here for me when I want it. Even if
Exactly.
I do own it, why don't I let it make me a little money while it's just, rather than sitting in a parking lot waiting for me?
I love, and that's already happening.
Yeah.
I'm one of these people that I would pay a little bit of a premium to be a member in a driving organization where cars just come get me all the time and I don't own one.
Yeah.
And they repair them, they maintain them, they insure it. I
Yeah.
just pay for my usage time. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
So
All right.
There we go.
Future's coming right here, right
future's
now.
coming, but before it gets here, do not forget there is still time to buy your ticket to the best gala in Orange County. I am
Oh,
not
okay.
exaggerating. Veterans Legal Institute has their Lawyers for Warriors gala next Monday, the 7th, at the Lion Air Museum, and it's going to be epic. And tickets are super, super affordable. They're under $200, people. So go to vetslegal.com and buy your ticket. There's still a few left, and I want to see you there.
Okay, will do. All right, thanks for coming. We look forward to where this is all going. I'm going to hold you to this. You think first quarter we're going to see the
Q1.
new normal?
I do.
Wow, that's a bold prediction today here.